Okay, to crystallize the neg case for my opponents and the judge in a way that hopefully both can understand clearly and definitively explains why we win this round, let's go back to the initial card that we read, which is on self-determination. It's one of the Ryan cards. I think it's A.
Yeah.
The self-determination theory tells us that our job, if we wish to maximize the good, if we wish to promote good outcomes in the world as educators or as human beings or as whatever, our job is to optimize social environments. Our job is to optimize social environments for the purpose of making individual people more actualized. Our job is to optimize social environments for the purpose of making individual human beings more actualized. What does it mean to be more actualized? Well, our card talks about individuals staring listlessly from the back of classrooms, about individuals sitting at their desks, wishing and waiting for the weekend to come because they can't stand being at work another 5 minutes. That's the opposite of actualization. I think we're particularly struck, Judge, and opponents, I'm sure you are as well, and probably grimacing a bit internally when you hear this. You should be, opponents, you should be grimacing internally when you hear this, because what this card says about children staring listlessly from the back of classrooms, we are living that evidence right now that a discursive approach is preferable. Why aren't you guys listless, opponents? I'm not feeling very listless either. How about you, partner? Are you listless? No? He's not listless either. Why aren't we staring listlessly at the judge? Oh, because this is better than standardized education? Which brings me to my second point here in this crystallization. First, I talked about the self-determination card, Brian A. What's the second one we normally read? McGrath?
Yeah.
Next is the McGrath card, which is really a card about Foucault. Foucault was a French philosopher. That means he was poor and he smoked a lot, and he's probably dead now, even though he wrote in the 80s, 1980s. Not that long ago, right? Anyway, he argues for discourse as the means to make ethical decisions. He argues that discourse is the means by which we make ethical decisions. Is that how we make ethical decisions now? No. And the example of ethical decisions being made are what happens in a courtroom every day across America. When somebody goes into a courtroom and they are being charged with a crime. Let's say a crime has been committed, an actual crime. Let's say somebody, I think it was Brandon, but stole Ashley's green thing and sold it on the black market.
Ashley will get it back in a while.
Yes, it's gone. You can't see it, it's gone. I've sold it on the black market. Okay. Am I standing in the right spot?
Yeah.
Okay. So, a crime has been committed against Ashley. She calls the police. Hello, police? I was looking at my paper and diligently writing while Mr. Strauss was speaking, and so as a consequence, I did not notice who it was who stole my green thing. Right? So, as a consequence, you have to figure it out, police. Police think they figured it out. Why? Because they arrested the guy who bought the green thing for me on the black market. They arrested him for an unrelated matter. He had beaten up a chicken and thrown it out in the street and was arrested for animal abuse.
Whoa.
Anyway, when they picked him up for animal abuse, they happened to find on him that green thing. Now, it was in the police reports that they had a record of, oh, I think that's that stolen property we've been looking for. And so they arrested me. I'm the guy who beat up the chicken, okay? I'm the chicken beater. So I'm a chicken beater and thing stealer. You arrested me for beating up the chicken and stealing the thing. When I go to court, there is not a bunch of people sit down in a discussion in a room. It's me, it's Ashley, it's the chicken, it's the prosecutor, it's the defense attorney, it's the judge, it's the jury. We all sit down and we go, hey guys, what's the most just way to resolve this? And Ashley's like, I don't know, I'm pretty pissed on my green thing. And the chicken's like, dude, death penalty. Sorry. You don't deserve to live. I said I'm sorry. I didn't mean to beat you up. I didn't realize you were that weak. Now you insult me. Well, you look like a tough chicken. Anyway, this is what I'm not supposed to do on these little videos. It's supposed to be quick and efficient, right? How much time has been used up?
Yeah, like 3 minutes.
Okay, that's not bad. Okay, so where was I? Where did I leave off?
You stole my green thing.
McGrath. So Foucault actually argued. Okay, fine. We're gonna keep it going. Hey, just sit down. Foucault actually argued that you use discourse as ethical decision making. That's what you should do when you go to court. We don't use discourse for ethical decision making. Instead, we use a rules-based system that's derived from the alternative discourse in the ethical realm, which is called principlism. Write it down. You should be writing down more than you're writing down. Okay? So I'm going to repeat what I just said. Make sure you write it all down. The opposite of Foucaultian discourse, ethical solvency, is principlism. That we can derive laws from fundamental principles and have a set of rules, and we ensure justice by making sure those rules are applied equally to everybody. Now,
Fundamental what?
I don't know, that was like 5 seconds ago, dude. How am I supposed to remember what I said? I don't know. I have no idea what it was. Principles? Underlying principles?
Derive laws and...
Okay, we're supposed to derive our laws from our underlying principles. And then we derive rules from the laws. So look, we believe fundamentally in the principle of the natural right to life. That it is not okay under any circumstances, barring him doing something to me, right? Assuming he's just standing there. It is not okay under any circumstances for me or you or anyone else to kill Brandon. We just can't do it. It's wrong.
Unless I'm mad at him.
Now that fundamental principle means we have some laws that derive from that, such as it's against the law for me to murder Brandon. And some other laws that derive from that aren't that. Like, it's against the law for me to attempt to murder Brandon and fail to do so. So if I go with a knife, and then trip and go, whoops, and miss him, I'm still guilty of a crime, okay? Even though I didn't actually hurt him. But the reason is because our fundamental principles say it is not okay to attempt to murder somebody, even if you fail, because murder is bad. They all derive from one another. Anyhow, so as the Nate case, you are arguing this. You are arguing a variant on this that says you're pretending this is not about ethical decision making, and you're pretending instead that it's just about stuff in general, basically, and that it applies to instruction. So you are advocating in favor of discursive instruction. Okay? You are arguing in favor of discursive instruction. You can allow your opponent to make the mistake of conflating instruction and assessment and not call you on it. That's fine.
Discoursive.
Instruction, discursive assessment. Discursive instruction is what we are doing when we debate. Or what I'm doing now, actually, is discursive instruction too. If I'm talking to you and engaging you in these, this is basically discursive, even though you're not really talking back, but it's because I haven't gotten to that part yet, where I assess you, and then I do assessment. I mean, look, there's not a lot of exchange of ideas between us. Occasionally, I want to hear your ideas, but mostly, yeah, thank you, Lyle. Dude, so awesome. Okay. Discursive, remind me.
Instruction, yeah.
Instruction and assessment, right. Discursive instruction and assessment are the two things that we have to actually be aware of. Now, if they are aware there's a distinction between discursive instruction and assessment, then what you need to do is point out the fact that, and this is the other core engine of this case, is that the assessment protocols drive the instructional methodologies. So you cannot have a standardized test without it impacting how the teacher teaches. Now, we have this sort of card that says, oh, well, I'm teaching to the test. But that is so much weaker than it actually is, and therefore so much weaker than we need to be arguing it. The reality is unavoidably and necessarily true that if you make a teacher's success predicated on a standardized test. In other words, if I say to a teacher, here's how you succeed, teacher. How do you succeed, teacher? You succeed by getting your students to do well on this standardized test. That's your success criterion. How do you know, teacher, if you've won the round? You get your kids to do well on the test. And then you're going to try to tell me anything other than you have now standardized education. The teacher wants to do well. Most teachers are not going to be they're not going to be as ferociously assaulting the dominant paradigm as I do, right? Because basically, the dominant paradigm is the status quo and the way everybody sort of thinks things ought to be. Like nobody is out there advocating really, there may be some, but nobody's advocating what I advocate for, which is complete autonomy for all individual people. They can't imagine such radical change, and it would be very difficult to implement. But anyway, the point is, you need to understand that when you're talking about standardized assessment, you are necessarily implying standardized instruction. Standardized assessment necessitates, forces, insists that it be manifest standardized instruction. Because why? In fact, why do I teach you like this? Why am I teaching you this way today? Why am I making this little video? Because I want to succeed. What's my success criterion? We've got to win debate tournaments, right? So I'm going to do whatever I can to win. And I noticed that maybe we're not clear on this thing. And maybe this is a hard concept. Maybe you need to watch this video a couple times. Well, let's make some goddamn videos then and get this shit done. Because I have to succeed. And for me to succeed, that means you guys have to succeed. So I have to change what I do to make me succeed. That's the driving force these teachers are going to be motivated by, ultimately, at the end of the day. Everyone can talk as much altruistic bullshit as they want. But the single best and most moral arrangement is one that is truly mutually beneficial. Where I want to help you because it makes me succeed. And you want to help me because it helps you succeed. And then that's a real friendship kind of good relationship between equals. That's not the sort of hierarchical-driven, structured system that exists in a standardized education world. In a standardized education world, hierarchy is compelled upon all parties. The teacher has to be the boss. The teacher in a public school is subject to all sorts of actual criminal and civil laws that dictate how they must behave. If I'm a teacher in a public school and I say, okay guys, you guys keep running this, I just stand right here by the door and smoke a cigarette in the hall here next to room 2, I would literally be arrested. I bet you I would. I bet you that someone would freak out and call the cops. He's smoking around children. It would not surprise me one bit if I were to be arrested for that. Did it actually harm anybody at all? No. Not even remotely. But tobacco is not allowed on school property. Like this kind of stuff, right? You were compelled to have a hierarchical role in this whole system if you participate in it, right? To participate in a system of standardized assessment is to participate in a system of standardized education. To participate in a system of standardized assessment is to participate in a system of standardized education. Why am I changing what I'm doing? Because what I need to accomplish. Why are you not writing, Ashley? You need more paper?
No, I'm trying to figure out what to write.
If I'm repeating it a couple times, that means write that sentence down.
Okay. I have space.
Did you write to participate in a system of standardized assessment? Participate in a system of standardized assessment? It's a hard sentence to say. To participate in a system of standardized assessment is to participate in a system of standardized instruction. It's got a lot of S's in it, right? To participate in a system of standardized assessment is to participate in a system of standardized instruction. Who can say that? Okay, thank you. Next, okay, so we're moving on to.
In what?
I'm not repeating it again. Let's see. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is the next card in the case, which is what? Do we have other cards in that case?
Ryan B or
What does Ryan B say?
Ryan B, extrinsic motivation schools.
Okay, so extrinsic motivation standardized testing. You run that in the rebuttal speech as an extension because there's a decent chance you're going to have teams who answer your first that contention with, well, they haven't established even that. If you have a good team and they understand it and we explain it well enough so they do understand it, we want them to understand it because we want them to say, well, you haven't established standardized testing is an extrinsic motivation. And then we say, oh, here's the card right here. It is, as a matter of fact, extrinsic. My opponents are trying to claim it's not extrinsic motivation, but it is, it's according to this card right here. And then nobody notices the fact that you really should have read that in the case. Right? Because you're not really establishing the facts that you need to establish unless you read it in the case. It's time suck, it's a good idea. Okay, now so the next card is that thing, so there's that, fine. What we do want to read though is instead, Strauss, what does the Strauss card say, the Valerie one?
Standardized testing is, Strauss C.
Give me one of them, tell me.
Okay, standardized, the one that we use.
Standardized testing is unethical.
Unethical.
Which goes with.
Well, yes, we want that one, for sure. That's another one in the case, okay? And then the other thing I want you guys to do, we can cut it potentially today, or at least look at it. I've told you guys, and I'm serious about it now, I want you guys, you need to cut it, in fact, I need you to cut the open systems, closed systems stuff from my blog, riceasterisk.com. That's R-I-C-E. It's an anagram of my first name. Huh? Oh, it's in Dropbox, and you don't need to go there. Go to Dropbox, okay? Get that article, get the open systems, closed systems stuff. And what you're going to do is we're going to do a rare PF strategic concession, which is this. You're going to say, we can see that the traditionalist education model is still preferable for traditional closed systems education. So, we agree that on balance, standardized testing has benefits in the education of grammar and of math. But in exchange, it harms writing and higher order thinking. We are going to argue a strategic concession that a traditional closed system education, which is standardized, okay? Standardized education means it's a closed system basically, in that everybody has to take the same test. It doesn't matter what happens outside of that test. So, okay, closed system teaching, which includes closed system assessment, which is standardized assessment, is better and produces net benefits in the areas of math and grammar. Not English, grammar, okay? You stress it's grammar. Math and grammar. And the reason is because math and grammar are closed systems. That is to say, if I drop a nuclear bomb on New York today, 2 plus 2 still equals 4. If I gather 1 million people together to shout, 2 plus 2 equals 5, 2 plus 2 still equals 4. Outside of the system of math, whatever happens has no impact on what happens inside the system of math, okay? Same thing with English grammar. It is more or less unchanging, okay? And the rules are, they have one right answer. What's the other quality of a closed system? It has either one right answer or a distinct and specific set of right answers. Write this down, Ashley. A closed system has one or a distinct set of right answers. One right answer. So, like, the right answer might be 2 or 4 in a math class, right? Depending on how it's set up, it could have 2 possible right answers. Sure, fine, but it has one right solution, okay? I guess that's the way to put it, one right solution. So if you have a subject matter that has one right solution, what's a great idea? Standardize some tests about it. If you have one right solution, and it's a binary, it has a binary relationship with truth, right? True or false, and that is it. And that will never change. As the world changes around it, those 2 plus 2 never changes, still 4. That's great, but that represents almost nothing that we do in life. As a matter of fact, all the schools keep talking about is wanting to prioritize higher order thinking skills. Higher order thinking skills should be synonymous with discourse, okay? Higher order thinking skills, discourse. Higher order thinking skills and discourse. When we're talking about discourse, we're talking about something that produces, makes go up, higher order thinking skills. Hot! If you want to be hot students, you've got to have higher order thinking skills. Are we done recording now? Did I forget about the camera? That's what happened, huh? Okay, thank you. That's good for that video.